Absolutely. Well, first of all, I'll mention the title of the book again, because I know it's called All Done Binky. As far as contacting me, if you want to learn more about me and Baby Blooming Moments, you can find babybloomingmoments.com. I actually have my own podcast, which I co-host with my sister and another fabulous lady named Audrey. And it's called This, That, Let's Chat. And you can check that out as well. Contact me for a free 30-minute consultation. Baby Blooming Moments helps you enrich and empowers you to enrich those early critical years. And if you need help with any kind of behaviors or what we call discipline or listening, I am also here to help you with that, which is something I didn't get to talk about much. I'm all over the place, but that's called parenting911.com. And so you can't forget that one if you want an expert in your ear for parenting 911 emergencies that are going on right now. Please give me a call. There's a lot of things that I can help you with. My background as a speech therapist and communication has really benefited me to help with connection and communication. So, as I said, as babies bloom, families blossom, and I'd love to help your families blossom. Thank you.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Living the Next Chapter. I have another great author on today, talking children's books. Hey, if you got kids, if you know about kids, if you've ever met a kid, we have a book for you. And Michelle's got the book that you need on your shelf behind you. You need this book, and Michelle Mintz is on today to talk about her journey as an author, children's author. She does so much, but she's taken time out of her day to be here with us. So, Michelle, welcome to Living the Next Chapter.
Thank you. Thank you. In fact, I do have my book on my shelf behind me. So you just said the perfect thing. What I want is these books in baskets for your kids, because they're for very, very young children who need to learn how to wean off a pacifier. So we don't want them high on a shelf. We want these books accessible to all the kiddos who can look at them and enjoy them and read them with their parents.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, Michelle, tell everybody where you are in this big world of ours. Mm-hmm.
I am physically located in Santa Monica, California, which happens to be beautiful and sunny at the moment. Yes, so that's where I am physically located. Where are you?
I am in Canada, and we had snow on our cars today, so I'm jealous of you. So, just so you know. That's why I always like asking everyone where they're from and letting everybody know, because there might be people from your part of the world who are now living somewhere else going, oh, she said home. That's where I come from. So that's why I like to ask that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody here in local Southern California, we know that we've had really weird weather, which we don't really need to go into on the podcast, but usually we're consistently sunny, and we've had hail. I know. It's been really, really weird in just the last couple of days. So Mother Nature is telling us there's some shifts going on, which I like to hear, because maybe everybody's going to shift over to Amazon and check out All Done Binky.
There you go. Wow, you are good at this. You have done this before. I love this. Okay, so tell us about your journey as an author. Like, what sparked the idea to create the book? Where did it all start?
Thank you. So I'm Michelle Mintz. My background, I've been a speech and language pathologist for nearly 30 years now. And I specialize working with children birth to 5 and helping their families with their speech and language delays. And one of the key pieces that a lot of children are affected, their speech is affected by their sucking on a pacifier, believe it or not. It's that sucking on that nipple of the pacifier or bottle for longer than we want them to, or definitely during those formative years for speech development. Having that sucking motion can interfere with speech articulation. No pun intended there. The speech therapist. So we want children to wean off of those pacifiers to avoid any kind of speech pronunciation issues that they might come up with later.
Okay, so for parents, young parents who are
Well, they may not be young parents,
right?
but they're young children.
Yeah. But as far as a pacifier, like what, for those that don't understand all the things about pacifiers, what is the main intent and where is that safe zone, if there is, for use of a pacifier?
Yeah. So it's a little bit complicated. So for those who maybe don't have children or aren't familiar with what a pacifier does what it just talks about. It pacifies, it soothes. So when infants are born and they can't kind of regulate and calm themselves, that sucking motion, that repetitive sucking motion is very soothing and calming and self-soothing. And so it helps to bring their body down and calm them down. And so we want children to learn how to self-soothe and bring themselves down. So we want them to have something. So a pacifier in the beginning is a good tool to use. But at some point, we need to try to substitute that soothing object into something else so that that repetitive sucking motion, which I nobody can see me, but what I'm doing, my tongue is doing a forward movement with outside of my mouth. And that's what happens. It's a back to front movement. And so then the tongue keeps wanting to go forward. And if I keep having my tongue go forward, then I'm actually going to produce my sounds like this. And I know it sounds funny, but I actually have a child who was just the perfect person for my book because she is why her speech is the way that it is. So we need to replace pacifiers, but some parents and doctors are very weary of that because we don't want to just take away something that's very soothing to a child. So we have to find a balance to that. And a lot of children's books are written for children who are 3 and 4 years old to get rid of their pacifier. And it has a long story about a fairy coming and taking the pacifier, a really long story. But as a speech therapist who's really focused on needing the correct motor movement of we call them oral motor muscles, the muscles that are needed, the tongue, the cheeks, the lips, all of those are needed in correct production of sounds to produce speech clearly. If that is interrupted, then the tongue is not in the right place and it's learned how to produce the sounds incorrectly.
Yeah.
And we need to reteach that to learn them correctly. So I want children who are maybe 6, 7, 8 months old to start listening to a story about weaning off of a pacifier, because 1 year old is about the time that we want children to really start imitating us and learning how to speak. A little bit before that, 10 to 12 months. So that's the key area. And so we want that repetitive tongue movement to go away so that it can properly produce the sounds for speech. I hope that makes sense.
Well, that does, yeah. Okay. And my kids are all now in their 20s. So I can go back in my mind to those days. And yeah, the pacifier was the in a sense, the plug. When the kids were having a hard time, you just stick it in there. That's all I knew as a dad. I don't know all the ramifications and what could happen after the fact.
And you know what?
So I'm glad your book is there.
It's no different 20 years later, to be honest with you, for a lot of parents who don't, and it is. It's putting, and that's what, when I walk around and I see it, I go, pull that plug. When that plug is in there, that especially a child who can walk around with a plug in their mouth, they can't talk then, or what they do is they talk with it in their mouth, which then puts the tongue in different positions where it can't be. So what I'm saying is that you are not alone even 20 years later, is that a lot of parents, and unfortunately a lot of pediatricians, aren't so aware of it as well, about the need. They really focus on, and it's true, we want to pacify the child and we don't want to take away that comfort. And that is very, very true. But the knowledge of how it affects something very important, when I talk about speech, I'm talking about our ability to communicate and connect with others. So it goes deeper than just, can I produce my sounds accurately, which I'm having trouble doing today. But it is our ability to connect with others and be social. And when one can't speak, it's embarrassing, and you shut down then, and then you don't connect with the world. So it's very important, especially when young children are just learning how to talk, to give them their best chance to do that. So that's why we're on here today. It wasn't really supposed to be so much of a speech lesson, but it's important to know why I wrote this book. And there were no other children's books at the time that were written for this young age group. As I mentioned, they were written for 3 and 4-year-olds who could understand a long story. I'm wanting to read to a 6-month-old, an 8-month-old. They don't understand a story, but when they understand is bright, colorful pictures, really simple words. Open, Binky, Binky in stroller, Binky in bed, things they relate to. And then they see how it's disappearing from those places. And it's a very relatable book, and it's a very repetitive book, and it's very much geared for the age group that it's needed for, which is about, starting, I said, about 6-7 months to maybe, hopefully at the end, like 2 years, I'm hoping like 18 months. So there wasn't one out there, so I had to write one.
That's the best reason to write one.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so the journey of writing a book, what did you know about writing a book prior to starting? And what did you learn?
I knew nothing. I knew that I didn't even know I really wanted to write a book. That was never inside of me. No, I shouldn't say that. When I was really, really little, I can have a vision of me deciding to write a book and going down to our room downstairs. And this is funny. I don't think about this much. And trying to draw a picture. It was going to be some sort of car and on some bumpy road or something. And I got discouraged because I couldn't really draw the picture the way I wanted to. And so then the whole book went out the window. Because I didn't realize that, pictures and words were kind of like, separate and different. So anyways, fast forwarding many years, when I saw the importance and how many parents I talked to helped their children wean off of a pacifier in all different ways. And I saw that parents were in need, because reading is so critically important. That's the other piece of my speech language therapy, is combining the two, is that reading, I use reading and books for knowledge and increasing vocabulary and all sorts, and eye contact and attention, so many different important skills to have. So I wanted to say, well, it seems to be there needs to be a book that parents can read. And as I did the looking around at what all these, Binky, Bye Bye Binky and books were about, is they were too complicated. And so I said, all we have to do is say bye bye Binky. And then, Binky's in the stroller. And I just kind of came up with it in my head, real simple. I made, I think I still have them. I wanted it to be a board book for kids, because it's real small. So, the kids are real small. So I wanted it to be one of those board books. So it was supposed to be, one of those 5x7s, or, even like a little bit bigger, like 6x9 or something. And so all of my prototypes, the amount of papers that I cut and drew and stapled together of what would be on this side, and then my little drawings. Yeah, so that's kind of a memory lane of how I drew this book up of, and then I had the words, but can't draw for anything, and sent it to. Bought that book that has all of the children's publishers in it. I don't know if it's still around. It used to be a green book that had all the names of the children's publishers, and sent that letter out to, 50 publishers with because I learned that you're not supposed to have your own illustrations. They want it without your illustrations. They want to do their own illustrations.
Oh, okay.
That was at the time. I don't know if that's the same now, but as I was told, is that actually if you submit a book with the illustrations to the publishers, they will most likely say no because they want to have their own illustrators. So I don't know. That was what I had read. So I sent my words and everything and got all those rejections. And then I think somehow learned about self-publishing, but I still needed the illustrator and couldn't find any and couldn't afford one to really, really do it for me. So somebody that I met, one of my clients for speech therapy, they had written a children's book themselves. And they suggested that I'm right near Santa Monica College, the city college here. So they suggested that I go to the Santa Monica City College and walk around and pop into some graphic design classes and illustrating classes and see if I could make an announcement and see if anybody there in the class would be willing to take this ride with me.
Great.
And I found Katie. And Katie Pepperman was a student, and she decided to come along this ride with me. And she was very daring because I'm type A and very perfectionist. So she didn't really know what she was getting into. I thank her. I haven't really given credit to her too much other than she is on the book. But she was my gift because she did these illustrations and she stuck with me until that little cheek was as fat as I wanted it. And that eyes were as little, and twinkly as I needed them to be. And my first title was Bye Bye Binky. Because that's how it flowed. I'm very much into alliterations like that. And I hated the word binky. I never called it a binky when my son was little. I hated that word, but it just flowed and went up. But there were other books that were called that. So I was discouraged. And so All Done Binky was born as the title. Because when I'm done with the toys and when I teach the children that they're done with the toys and we're putting them away, we say all done. So all done bubbles or all done car. And so it was All Done Binky.
That makes sense.
And that's my long story.
I like it. What kind of response have you heard back from parents around the book?
So parents really love it. They think that it's very useful. They are very happy to find it because they have only found books that are too complicated and a story to read. And so I get very, very positive reviews from it. So I would love to. I have found it's very, very useful for the area of pediatric dentists, believe it or not.
Okay.
And I want people to know this, and I would like any dentist to be, thinking about if you'd like to purchase them for your waiting room or as gifts for your star patients, because just as the tongue thrusts forward and interrupts the speech development, it also throws that force on the front teeth. And so dentists don't like that because it can turn out to an overbite or buck teeth or affect their teeth growth. And so they're all for, getting rid of pacifiers as well. So I found a little niche in talking to and sometimes have donated when pediatrician dentist office have reached out to me. I've been kind enough to donate if there are any offices out there listening, and pediatrician offices as well, having them in there. Before COVID, everybody had the books in their waiting rooms, and so that's where I would see a lot of orders. Since COVID, it's gone down some because they're not as readily available as people go to mommy and me classes and things like that. So that's why I do these types of things and these types of podcasts to allow people to know that this really unique book is out there. I also have at the end a page about why you need to take away the pacifier when it's the one thing that brings comfort to my child and brings a sense of calmness to us all. Okay. Because not only is it calmness to the child, but when it's calmness to the child, it's calmness to the parent, or it's calmness to the parent and therefore calmness to the child. I'm not sure.
Right.
It's the chicken or the egg, because a screaming child brings a lot of feelings to a parent, and a calm child brings different feelings. So we want to push that plug in, but maybe we want to know why it's not such a great idea. So I've got a page about that, and then I have a page about reading tips for parents, because there are different ways to read with your children that are more beneficial for connecting with them and their language development. So
can we share one tip at least? Come on. Come on. Maybe we're going to buy the book. Obviously, we're buying the book. But is there something that you can share with us that help us to read better to our kids?
Yes. One of my I'll do a little teaser like this. I'll tell you what.
Okay.
Is that what we want to think about is the positioning of how a parent typically reads with their child would be what? How would that look like? Do you know? The young child.
Physically? Yeah. Either they would be looking up at us, I would think.
Okay.
Right? Not looking at us face to face, or sitting in front of us and we're reading from behind.
That's the one that is the usual one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The one that we want is the first one that you mentioned.
Okay.
So, and that is a really big, huge strategy of mine. And there's lots of different pieces to that. But basically, in a nutshell, what we're talking about is face-to-face is much more desirable when children are young while reading and playing, so that they can see your mouth and your face and how things are pronounced and how you look. That's a really big one. And that comes from, yes, my background's a speech and language therapist, but my company now is called Baby Blooming Moments. And so I coach strategies such as this one about book reading and tips about how to increase eye contact, attention, communication, and connection. I coach virtually all over the world parents on these different strategies, which includes, like I said, reading, which is why I'm talking about Alden Binky today. But it's a really unique company. And right now, a lot of parents are feeling disconnected from their children right now. A lot of turmoil going on, whether, the kids from being locked down in COVID and kind of coming out to the world. But I am here to help you on your blooming journey. And anybody listening, if you connect with me, I'd be happy to send you a complimentary copy of All Done Binky. And you can also get a free 30-minute, which everybody gets, but a free 30-minute consultation with me. I'm the early development expert from Baby Blooming Moments. And you can find that at babybloomingmoments.com.
I said at the beginning, I can tell you've done this before. And that's great. I love it. You know your stuff. Okay, so the one thing I hear about it's funny, you have children, and then your children grow up and they sound like their parents, right? The way they speak, the way they enunciate their words, everything. You sound just like your dad. You sound just like your mom.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, as a parent, how important it is for us then to teach our children correctly how to speak properly so that they will sound like us in a good way, not a bad way.
There you go. Right? And it all starts early. Some say it's never too late. I say it's never too early. And that is right. And and you can go, oh wow. And it's funny. You go, you sound just like your dad. Or you could say, you sound just like your dad.
Right?
Right? Yeah. And it's and it is in the tone of your voice. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? And do you want your children to sound like you? Or do you not want your children to sound like you? Are there things about you and children and parents who are listening who still have young children, birth to 5? Those are the really crucial years for brain development.
Right.
90% of brain development happens by the time we're 5 years old. So you have up until then, really, to model and for your children and help them be who they want to ultimately be and the self-confidence that you give them. And so how you speak to them, your tone of voice, I'm going into baby blooming moments now, but it's so critical. And a lot of times we don't know it. A lot of parents don't know that, and they don't realize it maybe, until they're older and like, now my son sounds like me. If I only thought about that when he was 2 and I could have, we call it modeling, but demonstrate, show, differently. So it's young parents, you might be, but that's why I corrected you. That of the young parents. Yeah. You might be older parents. Okay. Look at who do we have now? Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. Are they both older parents now? Yeah. So please, if you're listening, give me a call because knowing what to do with that, little one in your 80s is a little different these days. So grandparents, I work with a lot of grandparents. No, I'm not kidding because they really want to learn, what can I do differently? How can I interact with my grandchild or great-grandchild in a different way that's going to really help them with their communication and connection, which we need in this world right now so badly. And that's my high horse to go on in another direction. But we need to bloom kindness. And it starts with babies and it starts with parents knowing how to do that, how to communicate with your child, and how to respond to your child makes the difference of whether they're going to go one way or another. So knowing how to is best. As babies bloom, families blossom. Allow me to help your family blossom.
And there it is again. I like it. What's your thoughts for parents around baby talk to your kids? So when you do all those kind of goo goo gaga sounds.
All right. So yes, thank you for clarifying, because baby talk can mean different things to different people. So we have to get into the semantics of that. Okay. Good. Okay. So goo goo gaga baby talk? No. Okay. Talk baby. If somebody says baby talk is, oh, you look so cute. Oh, look at the airplane in the sky. That to me is not baby talk. That to me is talking with words in a high-pitched tone that gets babies to attend to you. But it's not nonsense words. Babies learn words and learn sounds and learn things by hearing them. So when I'm working with somebody and they call their child's bottle a baba because, sorry, that's my dog Skylar getting into the toys. Skylar. He says, you're not connecting and communicating with me right now, Skylar says. And so therefore I need to run some havoc. Does anybody have any children that do that? Say you're not paying attention to me?
Never.
Young children. And they say, I'm going to act out and throw a tantrum because you're not paying attention to me. It's just like my dog. So if I talk like this, then Skylar and a child will actually think that they're talking to you. And therefore, I'm talking to them. And therefore, they will stop what they're doing. And I can have a conversation with another adult and just say, hey, you know what? This is how you can talk with somebody else. Is this baby talk? No. But will your little infant listen to you and stop crying? Yes, they will. Okay. Mm-hmm. I actually did an interview for a nanny conference that I am going to be doing. I'm going to be doing, it's called Nanny Palooza. Okay.
I love it.
I'm not
Good name.
joking. There's one in Phoenix and there's one in North Carolina, September and October. And I was doing a virtual interview, if you will, for them to see if they wanted me to come do Nanny Palooza. And so the woman who was running it happened to be nannying at the time. That wasn't the plan, but the 2-year-old was in his high chair. And that's just what happened. And so as I was talking to the interviewer, he started fussing. And so he wanted to look at me. He wanted to see who was, on the screen. They love the screens, right? And so when I looked at him and I started talking to him, he was quiet. And so then I looked at her again and he was noisy. But if I looked at her and I talked in the voice like that, and I talked to her and I told her all the things that I could do in this big conference that I want to be a part of, but I was talking like that, she loved it. She's like, look how flexible, and he stayed quiet. Okay. Mm-hmm. And it didn't matter what I was saying so anyways, it just relates to your baby talk, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because children like to hear words. It's the intonation, but, if you want to talk to an infant and go, ba, 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 ma, 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 those are sounds and those, but at some point, 5-6 months, I want real words and sounds and not goo goo gaga, and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I know one parent that we know from our family where their children would not say complete words. They would make like a clicking sound if they wanted to drink a water. Instead of saying, can I have a drink of water? They'd go click, click with their mouth. And they're like, oh, that means they want to drink. And I'm like, that's like for our children, we told them, use your words. Like when you're little, you want something, you need to use your words. Tell me what you need. You talk to me. Let me hear you. So I want them to start speaking, right?
You know what that
and don't substitute.
It makes me think of that. The reason that they're clicking is because it makes me think of like the way we like to get a horse going. We go,
yeah, kind of that sound. Yeah,
click, click, click. Yeah. Oh, look at my dog came. See, because if we do that to the child, I'm talking to you, or whatever, then the child goes, and
they copy and mimic,
and
right?
So maybe that's why they're clicking. So did they click to have them like a horse? Is that what they were modeling? I mean, maybe that's just crazy.
But I guess the big thing that I learned too was just don't translate for others what your children are trying to say. When they're just clicking a noise and they're like, oh, that means they want to drink a water. It'd be like, I would just say, can you say I want to drink? Like, yeah, they can say it, but don't just replace their words, their lack of words.
Well, it depends if they can say it or not. If the child if the child can say it, but then is choosing to click, then and that's where I go, that's where I help a lot of parents is they don't necessarily choose to click, but they choose to point instead of saying it. Okay. And that is a typical thing that children will do. And it's not really a speech thing. I'm getting into baby blooming mode. Actually, I'm getting into something else, which is, but that's a choice. And that's like a behavior issue. But if they're clicking because they can't say, can I have a drink or water? And that's the only way they can communicate. And they're stuck and they're only using noises. That's a problem. And so like they need to get help for that. But that they're both problems. So they just need help in different ways.
And so having someone like you, here's how I tie this together. Having someone like you in our corner to be able to talk us through these things, help us understand, help us have better disciplines as far as how we speak with our children, how we read to our kids, as you already shared.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great things we can learn from you. So as we wrap up, we're going to go buy the book. We're going to gift it. We're going to go drop it off at our local dentist office as well.
Yeah.
And at our doctor's office. We're going to share it everywhere.
We are.
To help support you, right? So as far as the website, and you mentioned having some time with you. Can you just share that again and how we do that?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I'll mention the title of the book again, because I know it's been hidden a little bit. It's called All Done Binky. And it is available on Amazon. And barnesandnoble.com, as well as a store called The Pump Station, which is a local store here. And we always like to support local stores. I know we like to support Amazon, but there's a lot of people in the world supporting Amazon. So not to say not to buy it from Amazon, but if you'd like to look on my website, you can find it from the pump station as well. So that's All Done Binky. As far as contacting me, if you want to learn more about me and Baby Blooming Moments, you can find babybloomingmoments.com. You can find me on, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, all on at Baby Blooming Moments. I'm linked on I'm Michelle Mintz. I actually have my own podcast, which I co-host with my sister and another fabulous lady named Audrey. And it's called This, That, Let's Chat. And you can check that out as well. Yes, contact me for a free 30-minute consultation. Baby Blooming Moments helps you enrich and empowers you to enrich those early critical years. And if you need help with any kind of behaviors or what we call discipline or listening, I am also here to help you with that, which is something I didn't get to talk about much. I'm all over the place, but that's called parenting911.com. And so you can't forget that one if you want an expert in your ear for parenting 911 emergencies that are going on right now. Please give me a call. There's a lot of things that I can help you with. My background as a speech therapist and communication has really benefited me to help with connection and communication. So, as I said, as babies bloom, families blossom, and I'd love to help your families blossom. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. So I'll have links to everything, Parenting 911, everything will be in the show notes.
All the links.
As always, right? So my last question for you as we leave. My podcast is Living the Next Chapter.
Yes.
So how are you living your next chapter? What is it? What are you writing? Who are you? What's next for you as you live your next chapter?
Thank you. When I wrote All Done Binky, it at the time was intended to be a series. And that has been on the back shelf for quite a while. So my next chapter might be writing a couple of next chapters. I won't quite give them away yet because I don't want anybody to take them from me because they're so good. But there might be another All Done something in the series. So you can stay tuned for that. I am doing some speaking conferences, like I mentioned, Nanny Palooza. This year, I'm also speaking at the International Nanny Association conference in Portland, Oregon in May. So because nannies are a very, very big part of our society. I don't know how much they are in Canada where you are, but here in Southern California, with working parents and even parents who choose to have nannies to help them and support them, be their supporting team. We want everybody who loves, raises, or works with children birth to 5 to have the knowledge on how to respond to them in the best ways and help their brain development. So I'm excited about being able to provide my knowledge and strategies to everybody everywhere. So please, I didn't give you my email or my phone number. Michelle at babybloomingmoments.com if you maybe haven't figured that out. And then if you want to call me that old-fashioned way, because I like to chit-chat, 424-226-2206. I knew there were more things I needed to tell you.
There you go. And we'll make sure we have that in the show notes as well.
Thank you so much.
That's right, Michelle. Thank you so much for doing this. Everyone go out and support Michelle. And again, gift this book to as many people as you can. Drop it off at those doctor's office and dentist's office. You heard us. There's great ways that you can help a lot of people.
Yeah, a great birthday gift. It's a great 1-year-old birthday gift for a 1-year-old. So think about that. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Good. Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah.
Hey, well, thank you for listening. It's a new year, and we're excited to be releasing even more great episodes of Living the Next Chapter, and we want you to come along for the journey. Thank you for being here. If you know of an author that you would love to have featured on the podcast, an author that you enjoy, an author that brings you that excitement that you would just love to hear them interviewed on this podcast. I would love to hear your suggestion for a future guest and what would be a question or two that you would want us to ask them on your behalf. Go to livinginthenextchapter.com. There's a little speak pipe icon there. You can leave me a voice message. Tell me who should be on the show and give me some question ideas. And I'll use your request and reach out to that author and invite them on and give you full credit for the idea. livinginthenextchapter.com. Would love to hear your suggestion, and thank you for listening. Catch you on the next episode.